Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this morning? This evening? It is currently 3:49 a.m. you guys, on this extremely cold and frigid Thursday going into Friday morning. It is currently 5 degrees outside. I was waiting for my car to warm up. I was like driving around and I was waiting for it to warm up, and I was like, it's gonna take a while for this car to warm up. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start talking and that'll help keep my mind off of the absolute freezing cold that it is. And I had this coat in my car, so I had to run outside with just my t-shirt on. I mean, I had like 2 other coats sitting on the chair, but I wanted this coat because this coat is like warm and comfy, and I didn't want to have to like, and it's like bigger too, you know? And so I didn't want to have to like change coats when I got out to my car. Anyway, how are you doing? This is like my morning. Let me tell you, my schedule is so screwed up at this point, you guys. I was in bed last night. You're not gonna believe this, okay? Now, you know, like sometimes I call 10 o'clock my nap, and people like laugh at that, and they're like, oh, you took a nap at 7 or 10 o'clock. Well, last night at 7:45, I was in bed, you guys, okay? 7:45 p.m., and I set my alarm for 10, and I thought, I mean, 2 hours and 15 minutes is a really nice long nap, you know, and then I'll get up at 10, and I'll vlog from like, you know, 10:30 to 11:30, listen to my audiobook for an hour, and then I will come back and, you know, go to sleep for a while. So I don't even remember like turning my alarm off. I vaguely remember Alex coming to bed. I was so cozy in bed, you guys, and so yeah, so anyway, I was so cozy in bed, and I just slept straight through until about, it was like 3:15, I think. So what is that, like 7 hours of sleep, 7.5 hours of sleep that I got, and I'm like wide awake. So I'm like up for the day now, which is what's gonna, how do I say this? What's gonna happen is at about 1 o'clock, I'm gonna be so tired that I'm gonna wanna go to bed, which means that Friday night, I'll go to bed at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'll wake up at 10, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm wide awake. But this actually works to my advantage because I'm gonna vlog for about an hour, and then I'm gonna listen to my audiobook. I have just a little bit over 3 hours. I think actually, yeah, just a little over 3 hours left, or right at 3 hours left of the book. The Third Rainbow Girl, which is our book for a true crime book club this month, and Sunday is our live stream. And so I just have tonight, Friday night and Saturday night to listen to it. So that's good, because tonight, I mean, if I finish this about 5, and then I vlog for like, I don't know, like an hour and a half, and then I can listen to it throughout the day, and then I'll only have like an hour left of it or something like that tomorrow night, which is pretty good. Because the book is so bad. The book is so bad. It's so boring. It's really like, this is like a new thing in true crime that's happening. I don't know why, but it's like all of these people are basically writing these memoirs, telling about their lives, but to the backbone of, or the backstory of true crime. But like the true crime story is like just a small part of the book, or at least so far. I mean, I'm like 4 hours plus 5 hours almost into this book, and I feel like I know everything in the world about this girl that's the writer, which Mel told me today, because I was like texting her and joking about this book. She told me the narrator, first of all, is so bad for this book. I mean, it's really horrible narration. It's literally like they're reading it off of, I mean, which they, you know, I'm sure they are, but there's some fantastic narration on Audible. Absolutely fantastic narration. I have some favorite, Cassandra Campbell, that does all of the Misfortune books, fantastic narration. Bonnie Turpin, she's fantastic. Joanna, what's her name? Campbell, I think. Joanna something. She is fantastic. There are some fantastic narrators on Audible. Well, Mel told me that the author was the narrator of this book, which doesn't surprise me because she's super, like, kind of arrogant and just comes across as like she wants to teach everybody something. And so it doesn't surprise me that, I don't know, but like the book is, it's just so boring, and it's like she's just reading off of like a data sheet, and it surprises me even more that it's her book and that it's starting to warm up in here a little bit, thank God. It surprises me even more though that, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that she narrated her own book, but it surprises me the level of the narrating her own book, because you would think that she would get so excited about it being her book and reading it, right? But like, there's no excitement in her tone at all. I mean, it's really like this. One summer, I went to camp, and I worked at camp. The camp was okay, but I don't think I will ever go back to that camp again. The camp smelled like sewage. I learned a lot at that camp. I mean, it's so bad, you guys. I mean, it's so just not interesting to listen to, and the story's not really that interesting. And the really sad thing about it is that when you're listening, I mean, I understand why she's doing what she's doing, because she's giving the background to basically this area of West Virginia called Pocahontas County, because she wants you to have an idea of, and how she got interested in the story. She wants you to have an idea of what this city, this town, this county is like, to understand how a murder like this could happen and not be solved for so many years because it was somebody local that did the crime. But I mean, I'm like, girl, seriously? And then, you know, she wants to share her experience with that county and her interactions with the people to explain basically why she's a better human being than they are. And then also explain like how she got introduced to this story and why she's interested. Now, let me just to put this in perspective. I'm 4 hours into the book and listening to it, and she just, I mean, I just heard out of her mouth, this was how I was introduced to the case of the Rainbow Girl, the third Rainbow Girl or whatever. And I'm like, 4 hours it took you to get to this point? Like, seriously, of a 13-hour book? So I'm so ready to read something else. If this was not part of our True Crime Book Club, I would definitely DNF this book. This might be even more so than the BTK Killer book that I really did not like. This might be, for me, my personal least favorite book that we have ever read in a True Crime Book Club. I don't find, the thing is, like, you can, if a horrible book is narrated really well and they make it interesting, I can even kind of get into it, you know? But it's just not. So anyway, Mel said it gets better. She said the parts that are about the crime and the case are interesting. So I'm holding on with fingers crossed that it will get better. And she did say that the Bonnie and Clyde book for January is really good. So yeah, I'm excited about that. But I'm going to save that book for a while because I got to finish this book and then I got to listen to something that's going to make me happy, you know, or not happy, but something that's going to be interesting for me to read. But anyway, so yeah, it works kind of to my advantage that I got up at this point, but I know I'm going to be really, really tired. And the thing is that I have a recovery commitment at 2 o'clock that'll run like an hour. So if I can get everything that I want to get done before 2 o'clock today, that would be great, because then I could come home and I could take a nap. You know, like from like 3:30 to 5:30 or something like that. We'll see. Alex has things, he has 2 things he's doing this weekend. Well, 3 things, but 2 things on Friday night and 1 thing on Saturday night. The thing on Saturday night, he actually asked me to go to with him, and I haven't ruled it out yet. He's going to go with 2 of his girlfriends, but he initially asked me, and I was like, I don't know if I want to go or not. But I might go on Saturday with them. We'll just have to see. But tomorrow night, or maybe we'll have to ask him tomorrow. Oh, no. the thing is tomorrow night, I think. Well, one of the things. He has a dinner tomorrow night, but that's early. And then he is doing this like social media event thing that he asked me if I wanted to go to, so I might go to that. We'll see. And then I went to, the reason I didn't want to go was because the last time the people that organized this, they're super nice people, but they have this whole, I'll explain it later, but they have this whole thing. And I went to it, and it was like fun for like 5 minutes, but then I was like kind of over it, and I was like, okay, I got like all dressed and ready to go to this thing, and I'm kind of over it at this point. And so I just don't know that I want to spend an entire like evening doing this thing, which means that Alex and his girlfriends will probably at some point like go and like have drinks or something, and then I'll just be sitting there, and it's too cold for me. Oh, now it's 4 degrees. It's too cold for me to like go out and do a bunch of stuff. And Saturday night, he has a friend whose birthday is next week, and she wants to just do like a hanging around their house kind of thing. So they're going to his other girlfriend's house. Like there's like 4 of them that are gonna just do like, you know, wine, charcuterie board, and like games, and probably watch, you know, 15 episodes of Schitt's Creek or something like that. So I don't know. I gotta find out what Tanya Jean is doing this weekend. Tanya's been so busy this week. And then today, she had like a recovery commitment kind of thing. And so this evening, and she called me at like 10 o'clock, so she was probably calling to see if I wanted to go get a fountain pop. But I was like dead asleep to the world, so I didn't even see till I woke up at 3 that she called me. So maybe Tanya and I will do something tomorrow or Saturday. And then I was thinking about doing a live stream. So if you don't subscribe to my drama channel for no other reason than just to see the notifications for when I go live over there, that might be a reason, because I live stream from my Peter Monn channel. So I might do that, or Saturday. Probably Saturday if I do. The thing is, Fridays are notoriously like not great days for YouTube. I don't know what it is about Friday. Well, for me at least. I don't know for other people. I don't know what it is about Fridays, but like let's just say, because I'm up early, so the reality is I'll probably film like 5 or 6 videos tomorrow, just because like I have the time and I love to film videos. But what's so weird is that they won't get watched as much as the other channels. They never do on Fridays, on any channel. I don't know why. I don't know if it's people are, you know, off for the weekend and they're ready to just kind of enjoy their weekend or what. But yeah, they don't, like, people don't typically watch a bunch of videos on Friday. Now, like, Sundays do really well. Mondays do really well. Those are the days that people, but I think people are just kind of like, you know, hanging out, being cozy on the couch and things like that, so they're watching YouTube videos. You would think, because I get a lot of comments from people that are like Adriana has been catching up on vlogs, so hey, how are you doing? She's been catching up on vlogs for about 2 weeks now. She keeps on commenting in the comment section. But you know, people will say on the weekends like, oh, I'm catching up on your videos or whatever. So you would think that like weekends would be like heavier times for, maybe they are for other YouTubers, I don't know, but not for me. I don't get a lot of people watching my videos on the weekends. So I cannot believe it is this cold. And when I came out to my car was completely dusted with snow. So what did I do today? Let me tell you. Well, I vlogged early this morning, and I was feeling like this morning, like I told you, like my arm really hurt. It doesn't hurt now. Yeah, it feels almost completely back to normal, but it did this morning, and it did for a better part of this day too. But I was trying to like reschedule my doctor's appointment that I had this afternoon. I had like my, I go in to see my neurologist. Well, if anything comes up, I go see him, you know, other than that. But typically every 6 months just for a check-in, and today was one of those check-ins. So, but I was trying to reschedule it because I just was like really lethargic today and just not feeling the greatest. But it was really hard to like reschedule with him. So I was just like, I'll just keep the appointment. And so then I vlogged, and then I did a review at Dunkin' Donuts, and then I came home and I put those videos up, and it was, you guys, it just was so freezing cold outside today, and it was windy, and so, I mean, it was like bitter chill outside all day today, and I was like, the trash guys still hadn't come yet when I got home, and so I was like, I have got to try to get some of this stuff off the front porch and into the trash, because if I don't, because it was like all this evergreen stuff, right? And it's like half dead. And I'm like, if I don't, it's not gonna all fit in the trash can next week. And so I was like, I went up on the front porch and I was like trying to figure out, so I started like, and then, anyway, so I started like taking some things down, like the wreath and things like that, and putting it out there. Then my neighbor came out, and she saw what I was doing, and she was like, are you getting rid of all of that stuff? And I said, well, yeah, some of it, like, I'm gonna, like the containers and stuff like that, I'm gonna, like, you know, recycle or donate. And she's like, can I have that? She was so sweet. She was like, can I have that? And it said, mistletoe from Santa on it, or the mistletoe from the North Pole. I got it at Market District in Carmel. Remember when I pulled up there and I was like, oh my god, this stuff is so pretty? It was when I saw those like houses that I really liked, those condos. So I was like, yeah. So we were out there and she was trying to like pull it out, and like all of this like evergreen and stuff came out from everywhere. She's like, I'm so sorry I made a mess of the street. I was like, I don't care. She's like, I'll clean it up. And I said, it's fine, don't worry about it. So I was out there like cleaning up the stuff, and I got a lot of stuff off our front porch. The pillows are still out there. The lanterns are still out there, which those will be easy. I can just take those in. And then these two big containers of like the evergreens and the sticks, the ones that I got at Costco, those are still out there. So those are the only things that I have to empty into the trash by next week, which is good, because then it won't be like a ton of stuff that I have to get rid of. But I did get that stuff done. So I got a lot of the front porch done today. So got that done. And then I filmed Peterism's video. Oh no, then I filmed my unboxing video, my PO unboxing video. Oh my god, don't put that all in work. I had to make sure that I had it like in all the specific boxes with the cards and the letters. And you know, I still got some comments on it that people were like, did you not get my my gift that I sent you on such and such day? And there were like 2 people that commented that. I had literally everything laid out that I got. So so if you're somebody that watches my vlog and I didn't show your gift, will you email me, and then I can figure out what happened to it, because I wanna make sure, you know. But like, I went and picked up PO stuff. Well, I went and checked the PO box, you know, just this week to make sure that I had everything before I did the video, and there's nothing new there. So but did that video, got everything organized, and then did that video. Then I did a Peterisms video, and then I did a drama video. I just like went over like celebrity news and stuff. I actually had a really good time doing that video. It was really fun. People say they really like those videos, but like, again, like those videos don't get tons and tons of views. The videos on the drama channel that get tons of views are things that are like happening that day. Like if something happens that day and everybody's talking about it on the internet, I mean, obviously, because those are the things that people are searching for. Those are the videos that do well. But other than that, you know, what is that noise? I hear kind of like a rumbling. So that was my day, and then I was like running late to like get ready for my doctor's appointment. Went to my doctor's appointment, and went in there, and everything went completely fine. He wants to run some blood work, which is typical because he usually does. And then he wants to, he hasn't done a brainwave on me in a while, so he wants to do that. So that's scheduled. I have it all right here. I think it's next Wednesday, actually. Peter Monn has an appointment next Thursday for an EEG routine. They said it'd take like an hour and a half. Have you guys had those before? I don't mind them. Now, MRIs, I don't love. Do you guys remember when I had to get the MRI? And I like freaked about that. I don't like having to have MRIs. I haven't had to have one in a long time. But the EEGs, I don't mind because they like put the stuff in your head and they like kind of rub your head like that for a long time. I kind of enjoy it, honestly. You just gotta kind of sit there and relax. So if you ever have to have an EEG, I was talking to the girl actually that was checking me out. Well, I was talking to all of them because I was like one of the last ones because they were closing down the office early today. And they were so funny. And this girl was like, yeah, I figure at some point I'll probably have to have an EEG, but I haven't had to have one yet. And I said, so basically what you're saying is that I'm old and that's why I haven't. She goes, no. She got real nervous. She goes, no, that's not what I'm saying, I swear. And I said, I'm just joking. The other girls were laughing. I said, I'm just joking with you. And I said, actually, I don't ever get worried about them. I said, if you have to have one, I said, I think they feel kind of good when they put the stuff on your head and whatever. It's real kind of relaxing. It's kind of like a head massage at first. So anyway, he said, everything looks great. And, I mean, he's, you know, always concerned about my weight. So there's that, but, got that appointment done. Gotta get the blood test done. I can take the blood test done whenever I want. But she actually, she called me right afterwards and she was like, he wanted to add a couple more tests. So she was like, I'm gonna eat, because I have like the thing that the labs that you just take in, you know, the lab requisitions or whatever. And she said, I'm gonna email you the actual order that he wants everything on there. So, but he's gonna do like a he's gonna do like all kinds of blood tests, so that'll be good. But he was like, everything looks great. He was like, he's like, you know, I can't believe that you've been diagnosed so long and been taking, he kept the medicine at the same and everything like that. He's like, I just can't believe it. He's like, that you've been doing so well for so long. He's like, and you've never had, you know, we were talking about like feelings that I have where I feel seizure-ish sometimes. And I said, but I wouldn't even call it like seizure-ish. And he's like, do you ever have jerks? And I said, I have jerks like every once in a while, you know, but like maybe once every 2 months or something like that, where all of a sudden I'll just kind of like, I feel like that. But it'll happen once, you know, it doesn't, maybe twice. It doesn't happen like it did, you know, 20 years ago. He's like, that's fantastic. He's like, I can't believe it. And he's like, I'm so impressed that the medicine has worked this long for you and whatever. So yeah, the doctor's appointment went well. And then after that, Alex got off work early tonight and he came home. And then we were both like super, super hungry because we had been going all day long. And I really just wanted to watch an episode of that One of Us is Lying, but since he already watched it, he watched the end of that episode and maybe another one. We couldn't watch it together. But we had The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So Alex ordered us pizza. And we got pizza from Papa John's, and we got this new kind. It's called New York pizza. It's like bigger pieces, and you can like fold it over and stuff like that. But I don't know. It didn't taste any different to me. It was just a little bit thinner than the regular pizza. But I got onion and pineapple. Don't come for me. I love pineapple on my pizza. That's how I like my pizza. And I was like, to Alex, I said, what did I used to get on my pizza? And he said, you used to get sausage and pineapple on your pizza. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But that was when I ate meat. So, got pineapple and onion on my pizza, and then 1,000 sauces. And then while he was having the pizza delivered, so I went and got us Cokes from McDonald's, because I was going to go to the gas station, but I didn't want to go inside because it was too cold. And then we watched The Real Housewives of Orange County. And then we watched Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. Andy Cohen's got the 411. I know people think I live this such exciting life, right? But there's my life. Watching the horse, well, they went to the horse race. Watching the Housewives with my husband eating pizza, and it was such a perfect evening. I tweeted out, I was like, I just want to cuddle with the dogs and watch TV and eat bad food. And all these people were like, just do it, just do it. And that's totally what I did, and it was fantastic, and it was such a great night. Our house is so drafty, you guys. I think the condo was built in like 1984 or something like that. And it is so drafty. And the windows, I don't remember the windows ever being like this before. I mean, we don't have a lot of windows. We have a window in the bedroom and we have a window in the kitchen. I was standing at the sink today, because you know it's the sink and then the kitchen window is right there. I was standing at the sink and I could literally feel the draft coming through the window. And I was like, oh, no. So I have got to find something to put up against that windowsill so that air can't come through there. My ex and I, one time, we got that stuff for our windows when we lived in an apartment where you blow dry that stuff around the windows. That, they make that look so easy on like the commercials and stuff like that. That is such a pain in the ass to do, can I just tell you? But it does work. It does work. When you get that stuff sealed on there, like it does keep the cold air out. But if you guys know any tricks about like windowsills, can you let me know? Like, I don't want to do anything because, like, here's the thing. I don't want to seal it shut or caulk it shut or anything like that, because it's a window that you like crank open. And I like the window how it is. So I don't want to seal it shut permanently or anything like that. But I can't, I mean, it is bringing in a lot of cold. And on top of that, the sliding glass door brings in a lot of cold. We have to have the curtains closed all the time. And the upstairs, like our bedroom is freezing, you guys. Like absolutely freezing right now. And our bathroom is over our garage. And so all of the air from the garage, which, I mean, our garage is not heated or anything. Like, it is so cold in that garage. And so it all comes up into the bathroom. And the bathroom, we have one plug in our bathroom. So I don't even know where we would put a heater. I feel like back in the day, Alex and I used to have a heater. But I think we're going to have to buy a heater for this winter. I just don't think that we can continue to have the house be as cold as, I mean, it is really, really cold. So I'm gonna have to get online and find like a heater or whatever for this winter that we can use, and we can use it in the bathroom while we're getting ready and at night for sleeping, because it is really cold. I mean, cold. Do you hear me? It's really cold in our bedroom. And we have it, like, our heat set to like 71, and it says it's 71. And like when I walk by, like, we have like this vent in the kitchen, you know, like on the ground. When I walk by that vent, like, you can feel the heat coming from the vent. I mean, so it's working. And the basement, and where like the babies, like their little houses, their crate is like warm, like super warm. So when you go down to the basement, which is so weird, right? But I mean, we have like a real authentic, what does that mean? Underground. But it's so true that like underground in the winter, things are warm. I don't know why. And underground in the summer, things are cool. But it's the truth. And like our basement is so warm down there. I don't know. I just, we're gonna have to figure out something. Because I think it's gonna be a really, I don't think we're gonna have a lot of snow this winter, but I think it's gonna be really cold. Although the next week is supposed to be in the 30s and the 40s. So hopefully it'll turn around and it won't be as bad as it was today. I was sitting here singing, Andy Cohen's got the 411, and I stopped. Andy Cohen's got the 411. So yeah, so that was my day. And I don't know what else. It was a good day. The puppies were so sweet. I took them out, and they were running all over the street. I think they own the street or something. They were like running all over the place, and I was like, come on you guys, come on you guys. And Boo Radley, like, this is like what he does, okay? So he, like, Tucker goes outside and he like poops right away, right? But Boo Radley like runs around and runs around and runs around, and then he finally decides that he's gonna poop like right before we're going in. And I'm like, I am so cold. Can we please go? And we've been outside for like 10 minutes at this point, right? So I was telling Alex that today, and Alex is like, it's not his fault. Everything's frozen. He can't smell any place to go, because you know dogs have to like smell where they're gonna go. I said, Alex, he does this in like the summer when it's, no he doesn't. I said, yes he does. I'm here all day long. I take them out 10 times a day. He does this all the time when it's warm in the summer outside. He goes, no he doesn't. I said, yes, he really does. Little guy. The little Turdmeister. Andy Cohen's got the 411. Oh, my Lanta. I was thinking, you know, when I was talking about like my mom taking me to school sometimes when I was in junior high the other day, I can remember her like, I don't remember her getting mad about it, but I can remember her not, like, I can remember her being a little frustrated that, like, I would say, like, I missed the bus, or I didn't want to take the bus or something. And she'd be like, well, what's wrong with the bus? And, you know, I wouldn't tell my mom, well, all the kids are mean to me, so. But I can remember my mom putting her coat, I can see it, it's a red trench coat that she had over her. I remember I was saying this the other night, those Lands nightgowns and robes. She would put this red trench coat that she had over. I can see her hair back, and she'd have her hair back in a bun, because at that point she had real long hair. And then these big glasses, these big Sally Jesse Raphael red glasses that she had forever. Well, some of them, the first pair were tortoiseshell, just regular tortoiseshell, and then the other ones were like the Sally Jesse Raphael glasses that she had. Do you guys remember Sally Jesse Raphael? So anyway, but I can remember my dad telling me that my mom was like such a deep sleeper, and she was like so nasty in the morning that if you tried to wake her up, she'd like almost kind of like try to hit you. And I remember my aunt saying that too. She'd be like, your mom like never wanted to get up in the morning, like she was such a deep sleeper. And I mean, I don't remember that from my mom, but I do remember my mom being a super deep sleeper. I remember her getting up, you know, like, and helping me, like, with, like, she'd always, like, something for, you know, she'd always see me off. It wasn't, like, I think, like, I don't know, but anyway, but I remember years later talking, and she said something about, oh, yeah, when I would take you to school, I would come home and go back to bed for a little bit, and I don't know why that surprised me. And then I had a very dear friend of mine for years and years and years in sobriety, but she went back out. And she would talk about, like, taking her girls to school. Like, she would get up so early and take her girls to school. And then she would come home and go back to bed till, like, 10 or 11. Is that, like, a normal thing? Like, I don't know why that surprises me. I don't know why that surprises me at all, honestly, knowing my schedule. But for some reason, I just feel like I just assumed my mom just kind of, like, stayed up and did stuff around the house. But then I wonder how bored she got too, you know? For like, the majority of my growing up. I would say it was until like I was in maybe 6th grade, 7th grade. My mom did not start working. She, I think it was in 4th or 5th grade when my mom got her master's degree in education, and that's when she started like really seriously working in education. And then when I was in high school, she did a lot of part-time retail work, and she always said she hated it, but she worked at all these retail jobs. My mom really found it difficult to keep a retail job. She couldn't work computer systems. She just didn't really understand a lot to do with the like. So then she would get in trouble for like doing something wrong on the computer, and they would just say, "We're going to have to let you go." And she worked at Ayers, which used to be right over there, but it closed down, which was like a Macy's. And she worked there at Christmas, domestics. I've talked about that, which was like, she said domestics. That means like towels and sheets and stuff like that. She hated it. We all got towels and sheets that year. She worked at, I feel like she worked at Laura Ashley for a while, but maybe it was something like that. She worked at the Filofax store at the mall. She worked all these stores at the mall. She worked at Jacobson's for a while. And was there one called Parisian? Was that a store? Why do I feel like it was? And she hated it, and all she'd ever talk about it was how it was commission, and that she worked with this woman that always fought her on every sale and tried to steal her sales. So she was like, what was the store that started with a P? My mom worked at both of them, and they were like Nordstrom. Well, Nordstrom is still up there, but where Nordstrom is used to be one of the stores that my mom used to work at, and where Saks is used to be, I feel like Jacobson's. Was it called? It wasn't called Parisians, was it? What was that store called? It's so crazy I can't remember that, but my mom hated it. For years and years and years though, but she did a lot of that part-time, and her full-time job was she worked, my mom worked with kids that were autistic, and that was her area of specialty and certification that she worked in within her like master's of education. And my mom got her master's degree from Butler University. She studied under this really famous like guy that wrote all these big books about education. She loved him. She talked about him all the time. So anyway, my mom worked at this, it was this school here in Indianapolis that at the time that it was like built, it was one of the very first schools that specifically worked with students that had developmental disability issues, which I don't know what we call that today, but that's the word, the appropriate word that we used back then. So please educate me in the comment section below. And my mom had been trying to work specifically with autistic kids, and this was at the, like when we weren't seeing tons and tons and tons of cases. Like my mom was like one of the first educators to work with autism in Indiana, and she would work with students like year round. Like it wouldn't just be during the school year, like during the summer year too, she would work with them. And oh my God, my mom loved it. She loved everything about that, because it was coming up with like case plans for the families, and they worked with like a team. And so it was like a team of like, my mom would be on the team and she was like the educator, and then they would have like the psychologist or the doctor, you know, it would be like a team of people that would work all together in the best interest of the child. And they did that with not just kids that were autistic, but kids that had any developmental issues that went to this school. And it just was, the school still exists. It's still there, which is why I'm not saying the name of the school, but the school still exists and it's still there. And it's been kind of the model for a lot of programs. I don't know where else, but in Indiana, I remember it was literally the first. And In fact, I can remember when I was getting my master's degree in social work and talking about like my mom's experience working there, and people would be like, oh my God, like it was kind of a big deal that my mom had worked there. And it wasn't. Like when she first worked there, but yeah. Indianapolis has some really cool programs, you know, like Riley's Children's Hospital. I have like friends of mine that are social workers, doctors, nurses, clinical psychologists and stuff like that, that like their dream is to get, it is so hard to get on a team at, I mean, Riley is one of the best children's hospitals in the world, and it is so difficult to get a job there because the jobs are so coveted, because the work that they're doing there is so important. I've had a couple friends of mine that worked there. I had a friend of mine that she was a nurse and a social worker, and she worked there, I think, for like 20 some years. She loved it. I've known a couple other people that have worked there as well. When I was getting my master's degree in social work, and we were like picking like internships, they were also called practicums. Sometimes call them practicum internships. The big places that everybody wanted were the Damien Center, which is the HIV/AIDS multi-service center in Indianapolis. They do a lot of fundraising, outsourcing, case management. It's like the hub of any services for HIV and AIDS in Indianapolis and Indiana. Fantastic organization. And so many people wanted to get their internships and practicums there, because basically if you could work there, then you could work anywhere, because the way that they trained people there, it's a phenomenal program. And then people wanted Riley Hospital. That was the other one. What the two that people did not want were, well, the first one was a paid stipend, because it was such difficult work, because basically you were doing an internship, but as an internship you were being hired for that position, and that was public housing case management. And I actually, in retrospect, I think that would have been a really interesting internship, but it came down to the wire. And so I registered for classes. So this was my first internship that I did. And your first internship you had to do, like your first semester you had to do an internship. You went right into school and did an internship. And it came down kind of to the wire with me. And so they didn't have, I registered late for classes because I was finishing up my classes and then going, like, I had to take like there was like 2 classes that I had to take, and one of them was like a biology class. That's where I told an anatomy story, and I ended up taking biology of women. And so I had to take those classes and finish those classes before I got in. So I couldn't register for classes until, I think that's how it was, until I had finished, I couldn't register for classes for my master's program until I had finished those 2 programs, even though I had already been accepted. I didn't need those classes to graduate. I needed those classes to get into the graduate program. A lot of graduate programs require certain classes, right? So, it was, I can't remember what the other class was that I needed, but I needed a social science class, and then like a biology class or something like that. Anyway, so I registered late for classes, so it came down to me doing an internship in an elementary school. This elementary school was interesting that I did it in, because it had this whole program built around it, or I could do an internship in public housing. And I kind of remember like the person that I was like talking to about it. She was like, I would do the school if I were you. And I was like, okay, I can remember I went to her and I was like, well, I would love to do like the Damien Center. And she was like, yeah, we filled those like 6 months ago. And I was like, oh, okay. So she's like, it's down to public housing and this elementary school where you're on a team of people. I had no desire to work in an elementary school. That was never like, when you get an internship or whatever, you go into it thinking like, well, maybe this internship will turn into a job at some point, okay? That was nothing that I didn't want to work in a school system. I had no desire whatsoever to do school social work, none whatsoever. That was just not a dream of mine. Because most schools pay social workers through title money, okay? So in the United States. So most townships get what's called title money, okay? And the title money can be used for certain things. Well, when it comes to certain school districts or certain schools, they are able to use their title money either for school counselors or school social workers, and there's a difference. School counselors usually have a master's in counseling. School social workers usually have a master's in social work. So there's a complete difference between the two, but their attitudes are the same. Masters in counseling do more counseling. So it's more of what the traditional counselor in a school system that you would think, whereas school social workers are doing more case management. So checking on attendance and things like that. At poorer schools, typically, sometimes what you see is more school social workers, because you need to have the follow-up with why kids are not attending school. Are they having their needs met? Are they getting their eye appointments, doctor's appointments, things like that. I did not want to be a school social worker. I just didn't. That was not like what I envisioned for myself as a social worker. I mean, I already knew I wanted to work in addictions, but I didn't really know. I didn't really know much about school social work. So when I was looking at the two, and there was $1,000 stipend for the public housing one, I was like, well, I would do public housing, you know, and I had already kind of done a lot of that anyway, because I had done kind of case management with public housing when I was working in treatment. I mean, those were some of the things, basic things that we had to do, was find housing for people and things like that. And working with probation officers and case managers and whatever. But whoever it was kind of steered me away from that. So I ended up doing this school social work thing. And this school was really interesting because it sat on the border between, in Indianapolis, what is called Stringtown and Hawville. And Stringtown was where a lot of like Appalachian coal workers had like come to live. And Hawville was, it was not. So there was huge racial diversity, and this school split the line, okay? So the mayor at the time had started this program called the Front Porch Alliance, of which he was attempting to bring these two communities together via the school, okay? I won't even say predominantly white community. I will say an entirely white community and an entirely black community, trying to bring them together via the school. And so the program was called the Front Porch Alliance, and this area that it sat in was the near north side. And Hawville is a historically black community, and that they were trying to, at the time, like, it had really, like, the houses were like, a lot of the houses were abandoned, dilapidated. The neighborhood was just, they were trying to redo it. They were trying to renovate that neighborhood, which they have done since. I mean, it's beautiful now, right? But, you know, I don't know if you saw the movie. Oh, shoot. Why can't I think of her name now? They did a movie. Oh, shoot. The Madam Walker Theater. Okay, so the Madam Walker Theater is like the beginning of Hawville into Indianapolis, and Madam Walker lived in Hawville, and she was like the first black millionaire in the United States. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Anyway, they made a movie about it. I think Octavia Spencer played her. I haven't seen it, but I heard it was fantastic. A lot of things in Indianapolis are around the Madam Walker Theater. And so anyway, so that's that whole neighborhood over there is a really, like, historically cool neighborhood. It's where, like, Crispus Attucks High School is, and it has, like, a Black History Museum within the high school over there. So what they were trying to do was bring these communities together, because they were seeing a lot of, like, gang warfare and a lot of things going on, okay? And you have to remember, this is in 97, 98 at the time, 96, no, 97 it would have been, that this was going on. So why not turn 6 social workers that have no clue about all this into this school? So here was the thing about this school. This school was like, 50% of the kids were black, 50% of the kids were white, and the teachers, it was like 90% female and 10% male. The teachers were fantastic. And then there was this black female principal, and she was unbelievable. I mean, she didn't take crap from anybody, number one, but number two, she just so loving with these kids and so fantastic. But what would happen would be this school worked fantastically well. All the kids got along, the teachers got along, and there was never any problems, right? Although when I tell you some of the sad things that we saw as social workers in that school, but at 3 o'clock, I mean, it was bad in that parking lot when the parents would come to pick up the kids from school. Parents yelling and stuff at each other. I mean, it was really nasty. And very scary sometimes too, We used to have to do home visits, and this was the thing I hated the most about that internship, was doing home visits. I felt like they were intrusive. That was a part of social work that I never wanted to do. The church that I went to, we had this guy that worked at our church, and my mom was really close with his wife, and they worked side by side, teaching Sunday school, doing communion guild, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, my mom and this woman had 2 sons, and the sons were probably, like, the oldest one was probably 2 years younger than me, and then the other one was probably 2 years younger than him. The dad was a probation officer, and he went to go do a home visit one day, and this guy, and so somehow, I don't remember how it happened, but because I was young when it happened, like 10. But this guy, the guy that he went to go do the home visit on, his probationer, he pulled him inside and took him hostage, and the police came and everything like that, and he finally shoved the guy out the front door and then shot him in the back of the head with a shotgun and killed him. And I can remember my mom talking about that with home visits. Well, I was terrified to do home visits. I was scared to death because of that. And I mean, you never knew what situation you were walking into. They would always send you with 2 people, but I can tell you, as a social worker that's worked with a lot of social workers and probation officers and stuff, that's not necessarily the case. They don't always send you in with one other person. So I was paired up with this woman, we were both, 26 at the time, and she, every day, head to toe, silk blouse, skirt, hat, high heel shoes, and all this kind of stuff. Well, we had to go. She got assigned to do this house, okay? For a home visit. This kid wasn't coming to school. And when he did come to school, he smelled like urine. So we got sent to this house, or she got sent to this house. And our instructor was like, Peter, I want you to go with her. And I think because she was black, and it was one of these houses in this white Appalachian community, right? Why that teacher chose to send the 2 of us, I will never know. But we go there. She says to us, she goes, as we're walking out that day, she says, but this is a heavy gang area, so whatever you do, don't wear red that day. We're like, okay. So I mean to tell you that I show up, I've told this story, I feel like so many times, whenever I see this girl she's like a big deal in Indianapolis now too. And whenever I see her, I always like, do you remember that home visit? She's like, I'll never forget that home visit. She's so funny. But anyway, the last time I saw her was when Alex and I went to that Tonic Ball downtown where they had all the different bands that played in the thing, and I saw her with her husband, and we got laughing so hard about some of our old stories. But anyway, she showed up, okay, and I said to her, I said, what is going on here? Are you trying to get us killed or something? She literally was like head to toe red. And she goes, what? And I'll never forget, she like picked me up. She used to have this like, well, I won't talk about the car, but anyway, she said this adorable car. And she picked me, she's like, what? And I said, she told us not to wear red. And she goes, well, it's too late now. She goes, I can't go home and change. I was like, oh my God. So we went to this house, and I'll never forget, we walked inside, and the mother's sitting on the couch. And there's like this hole in the floor, like where like, I mean, it's like wood floor, okay? And then there's like this hole in the middle of the floor, like kind of like to the corner in the back, but still like in the middle of the room, you know? And his mom's just sitting there, and she's just, I mean, she's so pissed we were there, right? And so we're like asking her these questions, and I can't remember who asked it, but anyway, I mean, she is not happy that we are there, and I am like ready to get out of this house, right? And she's got these guys sitting around and stuff like that, and I'm like, we need to get out of here. And we've done our job, we've shown up, we've done that, because you just like, you know, I mean, it's really sad, really, because, well, first of all, we were sent into a situation that we were much too young and naive to understand what we should be doing, right? But on top of that, it's like these kids really needed support, and it's like there's such a fear factor that goes along with that you really need to have social workers and case managers, probation officers working with police, because or somebody that's going to go in there and reinforce this, because of the fear of it. Like, I mean, I just wanted to get out of there. It was terrifying, you know? And so we're sitting there, and we're just like asking her questions about her son, you know, we're showing up to school and all this kind of stuff. So we're getting ready to leave, and we're almost done, and I'm like, thank God we're almost out of here, right? And this partner of mine, she looks over and she goes, I have a question for you. And she goes, what is that hole in the floor over there? And I kid you not, this mother is like, that right there's our shitter. And she's like, excuse me? And she goes, our shitter. That's our shitter right there. I was like, okay. Not to be confused with the other times in my story where I had, my friend and I went to Hardee's in southern Indiana, and my friend asked where the bathroom was. And the woman shouted back and said, she wants to know, what's that? Yeah, that was my friend in southern Indiana, where she says, wants to know where the shitter is. My friend and I that were in that, this was a different friend of mine, but we were in that practicum together. It was kind of cool. Like, we had this multi-service unit room, and there were like 6 or 8 of us in that room. Some of us were first years and some of us were second years. And so some of us, like, some of them were there 5 days a week, while we were there like 2 days or 3 days a week. And so we would all come in and sit there. We all had like desk space. It was like these huge tables, and we all had these desk space, right? And so we would come in, and we would sit there, and we had to do like 10 referrals for the year, which is, you would get referrals from the teachers. And then you would take the referrals, and then you would meet with these kids individually, and like you would, you know, the referrals could be for anything, behaviorally, educationally, academically. I mean, if they were having problems with something, you help them get tutoring. It was just kind of that kind of stuff. You know, if they were not showing up to school, you had to follow all the way through with it and find out. So it was basically taking a referral from a teacher that would refer them to the school social workers. And there was also school counselors in that school as well. The school had a lot of funding. Which was really cool. They had nurses in our school. Like, from that school was so grant funded from Indiana University that we had school nurses in there. We had school social workers, school counselors. I mean, it was like a really cool program that they had going on in that school. And So anyway, we had this huge multi-service room, and we would do these referrals, and we would all sit there at our desks and stuff like that, and we had to come up with a group. We had to design and lead a group. And I can remember this, the practicum advisor that we had, she would come in for like an hour a day. She's been like a mentor to me my whole life. I love her. And so anyway, I was somebody that was very much, the camera stopped. I was very much someone that, like, if you told me to do like 1 through 5 or 1 through 10, I could do it like that, but wasn't super self-motivated. I learned from her and her alone how to be self-motivated. Because she would come in and I would just be like sitting there, and everybody else would be doing stuff, you know, and I'd be like, I didn't really know what I was supposed to do. And so finally, like, we would have these meetings with her like once or twice a week, and it was like the second week, and I hadn't really done anything, and I was like nervous, and I'm like young, and I'm in this like first semester of my master's program, first internship ever. And I'll never forget, she looked at me and she said, why haven't you started anything yet? You haven't gotten any referrals, you haven't started your group. And I said, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. And she goes, I gave you the work. She was like, I gave you the paperwork, what don't you understand about it? And I was like, well, I don't want to mess it up. She's like, you're gonna mess it up. She's like, that's how you learn, is by messing it up. And I just kind of sat there, and she goes, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. She goes, you can sit here the whole semester. She goes, what you put into this is what you're gonna get out of it. She was like, if you show up and you run a group and you see 10 referrals, it wasn't 10 referrals, it was maybe 5 referrals or something like that. But she was like, if you do that, I'm gonna pass you. I'm gonna give you an A in the class. It wasn't even an A, it was just like, I don't know, you just had to complete the practicum. She was like, but the level of what you get out of it and how much you get out of it, that's on you. That's on how much work you decide to do. And I was like, okay. But this friend of mine that I worked in treatment, because I was working in treatment at the time, she and I worked in treatment together, and we both got placed in this practicum, but she was a year ahead of me. So we had to run this group. So since she and I ran groups together anyway, educational groups, we decided we were going to do this group together. So you had to design a group, pick the kids from the referrals and whatever. So we ran this group. For anybody out there that's a social worker or an educator, you guys will totally know what I'm talking about. But back in the day, there was this group. It still is out there. It's this big group, and it's called Banana Splits. Do y'all remember this group? It was like a big deal. The kids loved it. Counselors always loved to run it. And okay, anyway, it was called Banana Splits, and you made banana splits at the end of it and all that kind of stuff, right? So that we kind of liked that model. So I was like, why don't we pick a book, and then we can read the book through the course. It was a 6-week group, okay? Through the course of the group, and then share experiences based on the book, and then, you know, we can close the group with what we've learned and all that kind of stuff. And she said, well, what group? And I said, so we decided that we were going to do this group on kids and grief, specifically kids that had lost siblings to gang warfare in the neighborhood, since that was a big deal at the school. And we were going to base it on the book, The 10th Good Thing About Barney, which is about a boy whose cat passes away. And so he comes up with 10 good things. And the last 10th good thing being, in retrospect, this probably was, you know, I don't know, our advisor thought it was a good idea. The last good thing is that, like, Barney's part of the earth, and so he, you know, helps other things grow and whatever. But we weren't really doing it like literal, like your sibling is in the ground. It was more like these sad thoughts we can grow them into happy memories and things to learn from for the future and things like that. So day one, we give them these seeds, right? I don't even remember what the seeds were. I think maybe grass or something like that. I can't remember, because it was based on something I had done in a class of mine years before that I had seen me do these plants. But anyway, So day one, we start reading this book. It goes so well, you guys. I mean, this group went really, really well. The kids were super neat, and they just were very genuine. And I can see this one girl in my head right now, just like, you know, it just was sad. It just was, but we really got to know. I mean, it was 6 weeks, and it was like an hour each week, and so they would check on their plants. Well, these kids, the first things that they would do is they would run into the room and they would check their plants, and they were so excited about it. You know, I can see we had them all set up in this window. Well, she and I came in the morning of the battery's about to die. She and I came in the morning of the last group, and the plants had died. They weren't doing so well, which I think we should have processed differently, but I think we went out and bought new plants or something. I can't remember how we talked about it, but it was actually really a good experience, you know, in retrospect, doing, I think I'm just going to end the vlog in just a second, but it was a good experience working at that school. That's one of those things, you know, that like at the time that you're doing something or before you do it, it's like, God, I don't want to do this. And then in retrospect, you're like so thankful for that experience. Have you ever had that? I feel like I've had so many of those experiences of things that like I didn't want to do. And then in retrospect, I mean, I can remember like day one of judging that pageant a couple years ago. Like day one, I was so nervous sitting in there. I was like, I don't know any of these people. I'm nervous. You know, they're going to think I'm an idiot. I couldn't even say my name. I was so nervous around them. And then at the end of the week, it was like we were best friends. And I'm sitting there in my car on the way home, sobbing my eyes out because that had been the best experience of my life, you know? And that's how I felt. I remember driving away from that internship that last day from that school and just being like, I can't believe it's over. I feel like I've had a lot of experiences like that in my life where at the time I don't appreciate how magnificent my life really is, you know? And then like only when it's ending or it's over do I really truly realize how blessed I've been for having these experiences in my life. Oh well. All right, before I start sobbing on here, I'm going to get off here so I can listen to some of my audiobook. I've gone on over an hour now. So, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Friday, beginning to your weekend. Thank God it's Friday. And I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. It cut me off, how rude! Okay, I have about 20 seconds. So, for those that need to hear it, and those that want to hear it, and those that just happen to stick around, one more I love you. I kind of forgot there for a second. I love you guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya, happy birthday, Lena!